Hello and welcome to the Alien and the Alien. Sorry. Um, for now, it appears Kat will not be joining us. She had a rather long day at work today, which actually requires her sitting in the house now, fortunately, but it's still work on the phone and she's had a long day. So, for the time being, you've just got me to hang out with. Hope that's okay. And if not, well, that's about as good as I can do. Let's see, how many people do we have here? We've got 5 people waiting so far. I'll give it a few more minutes before I dive into the topic tonight. But one of the listeners, I forget who, had said that as fun as hearing these trashy, horrible romance novel descriptions were, he felt my actual true tales of horror from my life were far more interesting. And so I thought, hey, why the hell not do an episode where I just recount some of the more memorable moments of my time living in the Bay Area. Some of these stories you have heard before, possibly, if you're a regular listener, but for those of you who haven't, I will just compact them all into one episode. There'll definitely be some new stuff in this. Hey there, Elias Claude. Owen Lister is here. I don't know if the Great Pop-Tart left. I'm sorry about being on too late. Okay, we got 7 of you now. Who's with us tonight? Anime Acid Trip, awesome. Always good. Wannabe wizard. So would that be a Kabbalistic wizard or a Harry Potter wizard or a satanic necromancer? What? An Aleister Crowley-esque wizard? Tell me what's going on here. Or is this just like an anime acid trip wizard? Rabid Tit Cat. Gandalf, perfect. A Middle-earth wizard. Endless Nocturne, how you doing? All right, we've got 10 of you in the room, so I figure I will get started. For a few years in my life, I spent some time in college going to San Francisco State University. Went there for 3 years and then I spent 2 of the years living in San Francisco, and then I spent 2 years living in Berkeley. And one of those years, I wasn't going to school; I was just working. And for a brief while, it was fun. But I think really, if there was anything that was bad for my mental health, it was living in the Bay Area. I have no idea what it's like now, other than it apparently has gotten worse. But I don't know, living there in the 1990s was definitely kind of a precursor of the hell to come with the SJWs. It was kind of the woke culture before it reached the rest of us. So I kind of gotten a double dose of it and have been prepared for it. Also, you got to really see the end result of woke policies being enacted upon a city or an entire area, if you consider Berkeley as well. Okay, let's see. God Shine is among you. Welcome. Hi, Elias. Watching your live stream, but will respond late because I'm working. Oh, good for you. Good for you. So, my fun time in the Bay Area. Let's start out with some real simple ones. The first thing I noticed when moving to the Bay Area was the fact that, for a place that was supposed to be hip and with it and the edge culture, as it was always on, the counterculture. What is it? The birthplace of the counterculture was supposed to be the Bay Area in the 60s. Well, for a place that was supposed to be so down with the scene, they had absolutely no concept of humor or sarcasm. Sarcasm did not exist. Everything was taken literally. And humor, it was like you had to almost just flat out say, this is a joke, before you said something. You just couldn't start joking unless you knew somebody really well, because everyone would take you fucking literally, which is consequently how woke people are today. So in that regard, it was really awkward for me, and I had no end to me pissing people off because of that, naturally. Oh shit, Dandy Spike. YouTube didn't tell you. I'm not surprised. Did you hit the bell button? So in that regard, it was very difficult even getting along with people. To be honest with you, when I was living there, I made very few friends. Dating was extremely hard. Um, I- Really, if there was any reason you ever wanted a reason not to date, it was living in the Bay Area. Um, but there were other facts of life that you had to get used to if you were living there, aside from just the fact that people didn't seem to really get it. Unlike the rest of California, or at least Southern California, where I was from, where in the 90s, LA was kind of known to be a rough place. I lived in Riverside, which a lot of the gangs from LA moved to after the riots. And so in Southern California back then, I know it's changed, but back then there was this, you didn't just fly off the handle and want to get into a fight because, frankly, you didn't know if the other person was going to shoot you. And, there's plenty of stories I can tell on another broadcast from my time living inside Southern California. And, the wonderful experiences with kids and kids having guns on campus. For a state that had such incredibly strict gun laws, they didn't seem to be working too well. In fact, it seemed to only make things worse. Go figure. But in the Bay Area, where it was excessively safe at the time, people were more than ready to throw down and throw a punch or get in your face or get really aggressive, thinking there would be no consequence to it. That was a bit of a difficult thing to get used to for a while there. Um, Another thing was the drivers. Coming from Southern California, Riverside, San Bernardino area, then later LA, you were used to people driving aggressively and very badly, but it was always on purpose. The notion that people were asshole drivers was a given, but it was always deliberate. Moving to the Bay Area was completely different. The drivers there were even worse, but not because they were trying to piss you off or be aggressive or break the law, but because they were so fucking unaware of the world around them. Everyone tended to drive at least 5 to 10 miles slower than the speed limit. I don't understand why. People would constantly go into the fast lane and just slow down to 40. Um, People would make turns right in front of you, and you'd almost collide into them because they weren't paying attention. The lack of awareness around them was kind of unnerving. I was convinced one day I was going to open up my car door and there was just going to get knocked off by someone who wasn't looking as they were going through a light. Another thing that I almost got into so many car accidents because drivers would fucking stop the moment a pigeon was in front of their car. It didn't matter if it was a major thoroughfare or back road. If there were pigeons on the road, they would slam on the brakes, which again was just, they're pigeons. They'll fly out of the way. They got wings. What the hell? That was another frequent norm. And another one, seeing movies in the Bay Area. Now, when I was living there, again, I don't know what it's like now. Probably the best part about living in the Bay Area was just the wide variety of movie theaters. It was one of the few times that I could see just about anything that was playing. Art house films, indie films, old classics. I saw Blade Runner in the theater multiple times, Alien. So that was great. On the other hand, I had to share that theater with everyone else, which wasn't so great. Because there were so many theaters in the Bay Area and because a lot of them were all night, you got a lot of strange people, a lot. And so it wasn't abnormal at all to go in there and have homeless people sleeping or just, they'd go in, they'd pass out in the theater and stay there for 24 hours. You'd get lots of stoners. And that you wouldn't think that would be a problem. But you're trying to watch a serious movie like, say, Alien. You're watching Alien, and the cat Jones is meowing. They're looking for Jones, and the tension's rising, and you got stoners in the back. Oh, there's a cat. Dude, that's not a cat. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it would be like, you'd be watching and somebody would open a door and they just burst into laughter. I think the weirdest one, but then you also got the crazy people in the theaters. And the one I remember most was when LA is New York just on bath salts. Yeah, I agree. I had an experience. I was seeing Goldfinger in a theater in Berkeley, and I was there with some friends, and we're watching. About midway through the film, there was this homeless guy. I think he was homeless in the back, and I don't know if he was high, drunk, crazy, or all of the above. But about midway through, he just starts rambling through the film. So there's the whole sexual tension between Bond and Pussy Galore. And oh yeah, yeah, James, you're gonna get her. You're gonna slip her that 007. Yeah, James the man. You got it, James. Yeah, hit that, James. Hit that pussy. And he just rumble, and then he'd like kind of quiet down again. And then gunfight would break out. Oh yeah, knock that motherfucker off. Kill him. Kill that motherfucker. Yeah, James, you're my man. Kill him. And then I remember near the end with the climax where Connery's in there and they're in Fort Knox and he's wrestling with Odd Jobs and they're going back and forth, and there's that that power line that gets knocked over and it's running with current and crackling with electricity. And the guy in the back sitting there, yeah, hit him. No, motherfucker. No, motherfucker. Grab that wire and light that motherfucker's ass up. Light that motherfucker. Get that wire. Shock the motherfucker. Right? Then it happens, of course, naturally. It's predictable. Odd Jobs gets electrocuted to death. And this guy stands up there. Yeah, motherfucker, do it. Yeah. He's knocked his ass out. Oh, yeah. I was like, fuck it. Made the movie unwatchable. Although it was still entertaining. Another thing you had to watch out about living in the Bay Area was when SSI checks came in. San Francisco had the largest homeless population I had ever seen anywhere. And I think one of the reasons was there were so many places giving away free food. There were so many places making it easier for the homeless to live on the streets. And apparently it was extremely easy there to get SSI checks if you were homeless. And of course, the notion is, if the SSI checks are to help these people because they're mentally ill or incapable of working so they can get some clothes and food. That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. Food was readily available there. There was so much food going around from the restaurants donating it that most of these people were eating better than I was, because all they'd have to do is go to the restaurants that would then give the food to the homeless. Clothes were constantly donated, so clothes weren't an issue. So what usually happened is, not usually, what always happened was that the SSI checks would come in. And for roughly 3 days to a week after that SSI check came in, the streets were utter chaos because every crackhead who wanted their crack had more than they knew what to do with. Or if they wanted meth, they were blitzed on meth nonstop. And, things would get tossed in the street. People would be running down the street in the middle of the night screaming, just total disorder. And of course, they weren't going to do anything about it. It's San Francisco. Well, we're not going to judge these people. Yeah, they're homeless. We can't arrest them for slamming shopping carts through glass windows. Of course, now apparently they can just walk into stores and shoplift and it's okay. So those were the facts of life of living in San Francisco. Now for some of the unique stories. I would say the number one story, the top of the list, something that no other story I have can possibly top, was the story about Hershel. And if you guys have heard this story, you know what I'm going to get into. For those of you who haven't, this is a special story. This one stuck with me. Now, Within the first week that I got to San Francisco State, there was a mixer for everyone moving into the dorms. Frankly, it sucked. A bunch of people standing around awkwardly, a lot, just a lot of hipsters. It was, hey, come up to my dorm, we'll smoke pot, whatever. But there was one guy there, a very awkward kid named Hershel, baggy pants, ripped up shirt, usually some sort of gaming shirt or some sort of fandom, very shaggy head of hair. The kind of hair that you would typically see in the 70s, really. It was big, bushy hair, sideburns. And he had terrible acne, unfortunately, which is not his fault. I mean, he was a nice guy, but he was extremely nerdy. And he always kind of walked with his shoulders hunched over, and he'd walk, hey, man, how you doing? Hey, you want to play Magic the Gathering? Dude, come in my room. I will play Magic the Gathering, man. I heard you like gaming, which I did like gaming. Dude, you got to get into Magic, man. I'd say, I do tabletop. I'm not really into, no, man, I'll show you how to play Magic the Gathering, dude. And never went up there, but he was always looking for people to game with him. So if you were in the dorms and you saw him, you knew this guy was going to come up and try and corner you into playing Magic. So that was Hershel. All right, whatever. Nice kid, but really fucking awkward. Anyway, for those of you who may not know, I interned at a record label and then later worked for a record label. I was living in San Francisco. It was industrial and techno music. It's called 21st Circuitry Records. And while there, I did literally everything, from passing out flyers, designing cover art, helping find new bands to sign, lighting for the shows, show organizing. I literally did everything at some point, learning the ropes of that business, which was cool. I mean, there were negative aspects, but I'm really glad I did it. It was a very, very eye-opening experience. I got to see a lot of great shows, meet a lot of musicians that I really admired. And since that was the case, there was also the need to find other related talent, because you didn't just want to put on a show. Usually, this was the 90s. That was when raves were a really big idea, and raves usually were a very multimedia crossing of different art forms, sort of festival atmosphere. So, we would have, when we do shows, you'd have 4 or 5 bands, and you might have fire dancers. My boss was really into BDSM, so there was always usually some BDSM display going on. You had art displays, light shows, and we also needed people to do stuff for like flyer art or record covers. And so naturally, you needed photographers and artists. And I had heard about a girl that went to San Francisco State who was known for doing fetish photography. I'd heard about her a few times, apparently impossible to miss because she was the rail thin, zombie looking goth girl in a wheelchair. Impossible to miss, like I said. I didn't know this till later, but apparently she was going to school on some sort of grant for the handicapped, and she was in a commercial on local television talking about how because of this grant, she was going to school to learn photography and video production. Anyway, one day I saw her in the quad. It was, again, unmistakable. I walked up to her and introduced myself. I can't remember her name for the life of me. I think it was Sarah, actually. I think that was her name, but it's been shit, the 90s. God, that was a long time ago. I don't want to think about that. Anyway, so I approached her and I started talking to her. I said, I heard you do photography, and I'm talking to her. And she first gives me this really skeptical look, like, are you some kind of pervert? Do you want to bang the cripple girl? Is that it? And I'm guessing she might have got that from time to time. I wouldn't be surprised if she did. And then I explained, well, look, no, I work for 21st Century Records. Dawn is looking for photographers. We heard you do fetish photography. Immediately, she was cool about it. We were talking, and she was talking about the art she did and her photography and who she worked with. And then out of nowhere, Hershel approaches, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, he's going to want to talk to us about playing magic. He walks up, and he's, oh, hey, man, hey, you know Sarah? No way. Hey, yeah, we're friends. And she's, oh, hi, Hershel. Yeah, Hershel and I, we work together. And I go, yeah. Hey, yeah, this is cool. You should have him come on. You should come over. You got to hang out with us when we do one of our movies. And I go, movie? Yeah. Hey, Sarah, have you told us about our movies? And the long and the short of it, oh, you know what? I told it wrong. Shit. I forgot to tell it. Fuck it. Well, the story's not going to have the punch it was supposed to because I skipped a step. So involved in this. The twist is while Sarah had been telling me about her photography, she got into the fact that she was doing BDSM films involving ball busting. And that her and her big fat dyke girlfriend were ball busting men and selling the videos through fetish magazines, because this was before the internet really had taken off. This was when AOL was still a big thing. So you couldn't really sell stuff like that yet online. And she had been doing these amateur ball busting videos. And I even said, so ball busting, is that? He says, yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. You stomp on a ball. You can hit a ball with a hammer. You can, and it's like, oh, Jesus. And the point of it is it turned out Hershel was the guy they were ball busting in their films, which was excessively awkward. And I got it out of there as quickly as I fucking could, because he really wanted me to take part. And I was scarred after that. So yeah, that's the story I can't top. Anything else I tell you tonight, that is the zenith of warped, fucked up shit that happened to me in San Francisco. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we've got some comments here. Ishi, say cock and ball torture. Yes, she was into cock and ball torture, including that thing where they put the dick on the board and hammer nails through certain parts of it. Apparently, there's a way to do it safely. I don't buy that, but apparently it's done. Yes, exactly. Endless Nocturne. What a twist. In fact, his balls were probably being twisted quite a bit. And Owen Lister says, ball busting? That sounds painful. Indeed, it does. Oh, wow. Well, nobody left the chat. I still got 21 of you at least listening, so nobody was too horrified by that. Probably because of the way I told it. It kind of removed the punch of the tail, but sorry about that. Hold on, let me get some water. All right, other fun stories to come out of my time there. Let's see. Well, there was the overabundance of drug culture in the Bay Area. What a shock, right? Not surprised at all. Haight Street was located, the famous Haight and Ashbury, and as everyone remembered, really Haight Street was very long and separated into two regions. There was Haight Ashbury, which was the one that was famous with all the hippies, who had essentially become a giant tourist trap that was entirely packed with aging baby boomer hippies that were there in their SUVs and their Banana Republic clothing, snapping pictures, reliving their memories. And then a lot of spoiled college kids selling drugs, trying to pretend they were hippies. And it was really a miserable place to be. You couldn't walk down the street without people trying to sell you drugs at a few feet. And you could not tell them, look, I don't want your fucking weed. Eventually, I heard sometime in the early 2000s, the cops finally just said, fuck it, because all the idiots trying to sell weed made it so miserable that they were scaring tourists away. And they finally started kicking them out. Oh, look, my beautiful, beautiful wife has emerged.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, you know what? Take over. I'm going to get a little more liquid. I've been talking nonstop for almost a half hour, and this isn't easy for me.
Oh. How do you want me to take over?
Be creative.
Be creative. Which story were you telling?
Oh, well, I was getting to the presence of drug culture in San Francisco.
Oh, I can't fill those shoes. I totally can't. Hi, everybody. I thought I'd come in here and be social and hang out with my wonderful husband. I had a long day. It wasn't a hard day. It was just a long day, and quite frankly, I've been feeling somewhat sick for the last 24 hours. Don't worry, I'm not actually sick. It's female issues, if you must know. You know, thrilling entertainment, I know, but that's the only reason why I wasn't in here earlier. Was just trying to recover from that. Let's see. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? Hi, Elias. Hi, Chris. How's everyone this evening? Hello, Louise. Oh, thank you very much. No, I'll feel better. This happens every month, so no, it's just nausea sucks ass no matter what. So, but I'll be good. Let's see. What can I regale you with while we're waiting? Anime acid trip, breast beam. Yes, indeed, breast beams. Yes, my breast beams are quite beamy this evening. Oh man, I'm punchy. Okay. Let's see. Annie, she's back to tell you about drugs.
Okay, so what were you talking about?
Breast beams.
Oh yeah, your double H beams.
Yes, my double H beams.
Breasto beam.
Breasto beam. Kitty flash.
Yeah, were you going to do the kitty flash?
Yeah, kitty flash. Well, I can't see it.
Or would that be just cat flash?
Cat flash.
All right.
Better than cat scat, I guess.
So yeah, there was a ridiculous level of tolerance for the drug culture in San Francisco, and you start to really understand why you want to enforce your drug laws when you live in an environment where essentially everything is legal, to the point that the cops can arrest you, and I know that the cops were very upset that they were discouraged from arresting people, but I'm going to tell a couple of these stories. You need to arrest people.
And just think, this is back when they were tough on crime.
Yeah, exactly. Before they were handing out the needles.
Yes.
And collecting them off the ground after people stepped on them. Ugh. Although, in all fairness, even before that, I remember once walking down on the beach, and this parent just being enraged when a heroin needle washed up.
Well, that was at least a good parent.
Yeah.
Were they upset that they didn't join in the fun?
No, they were pissed that their kids might have stepped on it.
Again, good parent.
Okay, so there was a ridiculous level of allowance for the drug culture. And there was once that I'd gone and seen Pi. It was running in theaters, Darren Aronofsky's first and probably only good film.
We should cover it.
Oh, we'll do Pi. We'll do that movie. And I wanted to see it a few more times before it left theaters. I had no idea when I'd see it again or when it would be. This was DVDs were even still just kind of a new thing back then. So there was no idea when I would see it on DVD, if ever. I didn't know if it would go to print. So I went to see Pi at the theater up on Haight and Ashbury, up there, Upper Haight, and watched the film, enjoyed it. Everything's cool. I got out of the theater about 12:30 at night. And I'm walking back to the car with this girl, and everything's cool. And this little tiny old black guy, he looked like he'd stepped out of some 1940s blues movie or something. A little hat, and he had the tweed suit and a cane. And he comes out of an alley out of nowhere, and he shouts across the street, "Hey, you two! Hey you!" And I go, "Yeah? Want some cocaine?" No. Okay. And he just wanders back into the alley.
Did you tell them the? I think you've already told it on this show, but did you tell the story of the guy who jumped out of his car?
That was the next one. I'm telling
Okay.
stories I have before. These are all my San Francisco stories. Since somebody requested them. There was Camaro guy. Now, this was in the lower Haight. Now, as I was mentioning, Haight Street was separated really by two sides. There was upper and lower. Upper was the tourist trap. Lower Haight was actually kind of the real deal as far as the counterculture. It was kind of a slum. It was a little dangerous. It was trashy, but it had the legit counterculture. You know, the bars, the concerts, the real coffee houses, the fringe media joints. Great place to get fringe videos, zines, comics. It was kind of a cool place, but it was also scuzzy.
That's putting it politely.
Oh yeah, you saw it, didn't you?
Yeah.
We didn't even stop there. You just drove through it. You didn't walk around there.
No, I didn't.
And I was at a coffee house there that I'd regularly hang out with. And I'm just there with a friend, sipping on my coffee, and then I hear this screaming and shouting. And I look out the window, and parked in the middle of the street is a red Camaro, engine running, and there's a black dude. I think I was fucking huge. I mean, you don't want to mess with him. He was like a fucking linebacker. And back then, keep in mind, cell phones were still kind of a thing that you had if you had money. People were still using beepers to some degree, just to give you a sense of scale.
Like in, was it Fear of a Black Cat?
And this guy's out there with his cell phone, marching up and down the street, screaming and yelling as cars are just plowing past him, laying on the horn. People are yelling, "Get on the road!" And you know, anyone who would yell at him, he'd like flip him off or scream at the car, take a swing. And this guy was furious. And as this unfolded, and you know, cop cars drove by and didn't do anything. And the guy's screaming, "Motherfucker, where are you? Where are you, motherfucker? You don't get your ass down here. I'm going to kill your motherfucking ass. I'm going to fucking murder your fucking ass, you motherfucker." And then finally, "Where's my fucking crack, you son of a bitch? Where's my fucking crack? You ain't here in 10 minutes. I'm coming to your house and fucking put a bullet in your ass if you don't have my fucking crack." Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything, including the cops.
Jesus.
What a wonderful place. The only story worse than that was in Oakland. And that's a little, Oakland's its own thing. That's almost not the Bay Area. It's its own little escape from New York hellhole. So I'll save that for another time. But that same coffee house, or a similar coffee house, I can't remember. I think it was either the same coffee house or near it. Regular house of mine, hangout of mine, was this coffee house called the Horseshoe. And again, that was kind of the place to go if you were into goth, industrial, or just fucking weird. Didn't know this at the time, but it was also a front for drug dealing.
They dealt horse?
No, they dealt speed.
Oh, shit.
And
racehorse.
The coffee really wasn't the profit. That's why the coffee was so cheap. The money was the speed and all the people in there buying the speed.
Shit. This was near the college, right?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. This is Lower Haight.
Oh, this is Lower Haight. Okay.
And there were some unique experiences at the Horseshoe. A lot of weird people rambling, druggies. One of the ones I remember real well is I was sitting there by myself. Spent a lot of time by myself in the Bay Area. As I said, not many friends. I think I was reading a comic at the time because I'd just gone to the comic store. But this one guy in the corner, he'd been sitting alone in this chair, this big easy chair, just watching people and just kind of getting more and more tense watching people. And then just fucking out of nowhere, he runs up, jumps on top of one of the tables and starts, "Lars Ulrich, man. Lars Ulrich is the best. Fucking Metallica. You know, and Kurt Hammett. Kurt Hammett." He starts air guitaring. "Best guitar. Best." And it's, yeah, nobody's better than Metallica, man. Metallica, you guys got to listen to Metallica. The darkness imprisoning me. All I see is, yeah, Metallica, motherfucker. And he kicks a bunch of stuff off the table and runs out the store. Yeah. That was the last we saw of him. So I have no idea what that was about, other than he clearly liked Metallica.
Did shit like that happen at the Horseshoe often, or
yeah,
really?
Yeah, actually. But another fun experience there was Lovecraft Girl. And she didn't work there long, which was a real shame. But I'd gone in one afternoon, and I think she was a little too weird to work there was the problem. And I see this girl who was obviously into industrial music. She had the haircut, the boots, the black clothing, the t-shirt. I think it was a ministry shirt. And she was fucking hot. At least if you were into that counterculture, she was fucking hot in a kind of a tomboyish sort of way. So, I started trying to make time with her, start chatting her up as I'm buying my coffee. And then she just goes into this talk about, you ever read H.P. Lovecraft? Oh, yeah, I know about Lovecraft. Lovecraft, man. You should come to, like, one of our ceremonies. I go, what? Yeah, man. Me and my boyfriend, our friends, we all go out there. We have to go out in the fields, man, and light a bonfire and take acid, and then we start raising energy, right? And we'll start chanting the elder gods. And
wait, chanting the elder gods?
Yeah. And
serious?
But sometimes you got to be careful, because once we were doing it, and my boyfriend took a lot of acid, and we summoned up one of the gods. And he saw a void open up over the fire, and a bunch of fish flew at him, and it really messed him up for a long time.
The Colorado shrooms.
Yeah, it's like the fish flew out. It was just like that movie where the guy sees the fish and then that thing comes out of his head, and it was fucking freaky. But you should come with us.
Wait, she's claiming they saw From Beyond with Jeffrey Combs.
She said it was like that, yes.
Oh, fuck.
But she was dead serious. And that's when I realized, you know what? I think I'm done talking to her.
It's like, okay, no, don't need that. Don't need that. So with all this drug shit that you experienced in San Francisco, has any of that worked its way into your writing?
Yes. Yes, it has, mostly in Utopias.
Mm.
If you read Utopias, you'll have seen it in there. Absolutely. Not Case File Arkham, not in Titanium Rain.
Oh, you didn't have people getting high and seeing From Beyond in Case File Arkham?
It might show up in Machine Child in one way or another. Some of the weird youth culture, but...
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, gosh, I'm really glad I'm not living there anymore.
I am so glad I am not living there anymore.
that is not your day-to-day life or the people you interact with on a regular basis. Like, bar one, oh no, a Wiccan.
Yeah, I don't know if she was a Wiccan or just high.
Yeah, she was Burning Man.
Yeah, actually, she probably was.
That sounds like Burning Man shit. Ishi, was the Citadel open for business when you lived in the Bay Area?
Give me more information.
Let's see here.
So, anyway, some other fun ones, unless you can think of stories that I've told you that you think would be relevant, because I've got more.
Stories from Bay Area. Well, I don't know if you've talked about it or not, but I found it fascinating, the clients that you saw heading towards the insurance company, where they were, for all intents and purposes, faking it.
You know what? That's I'd have to really kind of
think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what that does remind me of? Let's move on to living in Berkeley, shall we? Now, Berkeley was a bit different. Where San Francisco was more stuck up and crazy, Berkeley was just really dysfunctional and crazy. And if I thought San Francisco was a magnet for fucked up people, Berkeley, no, Berkeley outdid it. And when I moved to Berkeley, I actually had a great studio apartment. It was over a futon shop. But as I lived there, I soon found out that I was also living above a massage parlor.
I'm seeing a trend where stores are a front for something else going on behind the scenes that really nobody's hiding.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really interesting because the futon place, very big, open windows, Vietnamese owned business, nice, really cool guys. But if you went around the side, there was the entryway to my building, standard apartment entrance, mailboxes, steps, double doors. And then outside on a nondescript wall was a single doorway. Over it, it said Tiki Massage. And every once in a while,
the enchanted tiki room,
the women would open up the door and get out there in their skimpy outfits and try and welcome people in. No, I never went in. But the funnier thing was every once in a while you'd see PG&E workers going there on their lunch break, giving each other high fives as they went in and kind of like, yeah, we're getting a good one today. And we're having a happy lunch.
Tell people what PG&E is.
Pacific Gas and Electricity. Mm-hmm. They suck.
Yes, they do.
And also, there were a few times that I'd drive up in the middle of the night and their pimp was outside collecting his money.
God.
And he did have a big caddy and a fur coat and a giant hat. He did not look like a 70s pimp, but you could tell he was a pimp.
Was this like the 90s look where it's like white fur and diamond studs in the ears?
Yeah, actually, the kind of the Snoop Dogg thing.
Yeah.
Other fun things is...
Did his caddy have chandeliers?
Yeah, right, exactly. It was the Duke of New York. Okay, let's see.
I'll Google the Citadel San Francisco. Lots of BDSM porn shots there.
All right, you talk, I'll do that.
Oh. That's distracting you looking up porn.
Okay, SF Citadel. All right.
I like the stock footage of the same castle that's in every Roger Corman and Wynorski film ever.
Okay, so we're looking at the website, right? Hey, let's share this. Let's
share with the audience. Let's share the porn.
Everybody should see this. Let's see if I get banned for this.
Well, only if people complain.
Or to quote Ethan, this better not be porn.
What? It's not porn. It's bondage.
Okay, so here's what we're looking at here.
Well, we've got a disco floor.
With, I guess, racks, stocks. You can rent it.
Oh.
Rules. Association.
I saw the word house and I thought it was going to be house parties.
Citadel during COVID-19. Oh, so you can have COVID parties and get sick.
Oh.
Well, you take it in the...
Or is this...
rentals?
Safe part. You have to social distance in your bondage.
Exactly.
Well, if you're wrapped in latex, does that mean that you're safe?
You all have to wear gas masks.
Yes, you all have to wear gas
masks. And full latex bodysuits.
There you go. Have a COVID party and everybody's in gas masks and latex. I love it.
Okay.
Okay.
Holy shit, some of these people look familiar.
Okay, that's disturbing.
The big, tall, giant blonde there looks vaguely familiar.
Actually, she does.
Where have we seen that woman? Has she been at a convention? I think we saw her at Small Press Expo, maybe?
I bet we did.
That's the only time we've been in San Francisco since.
Either that or... God, yeah. But she does look familiar.
I'm trying to figure out where this place is located. I'm wondering if it used to be called something else.
Was there an address on the website?
Oh, that wouldn't help. Let's get a map. Now, this is probably, again, riveting radio, right?
Well, people might want to know, where to go visit on their next vacation. Okay, Powell Street Station. So do you know where the Powell Street Station is? Oh, okay. I kind of know where we are here.
Okay, so where is it? It's probably one of these buildings.
Is it near that the leather works?
Maybe. Anyway, not that important. No, I've never been there. May have been open, may not have. We never did any shows there. If we did, it would have been called something else at the time. We did shows in a lot of venues, though, so it is possible. Just never one that was called Citadel at the time. All right, so there we go. You get a view into the world that is BDSM San Francisco, I guess. Okay, any crazy memeable? All right.
Cat has masks and latex. Do you mean like the one character from Matrix Revolution? Actually, I'm not a latex girl. I'm a leather girl. So, you just dwell on that for a moment.
Yeah, Cat prefers leather. Although we do own an authentic and functional gas mask. It's Soviet. We bought it strictly for decorative and prop purposes. We had no idea that it might actually one day be useful.
Yes, but it is 100% functional.
And we have a fresh canister.
We do. So we're all set and prepared.
I don't know, Janelle. The real go-to BDSM place that I was aware of while I was in the Bay Area was called the Power Exchange. Once again, I've never been there. But that was kind of the location for such things.
For some reason, I thought the Power Exchange was in LA.
There might be one in LA. There are multiples, or were.
Of course, I might have had it confused with a industrial club that you went to in LA. So the one that had the metal club card.
Oh no, that's Control Factory. That place was great.
Factory. Okay, that's
that was a great club.
Okay,
that had nothing to do with BDSM. That was just music.
No.
All right, so some other fun stuff. Well, about Berkeley. Let's talk about Berkeley. The hangout in Berkeley. What?
Yes, what about Berkeley?
The hangout in Berkeley, well, it was Haight Street was the hangout for the counterculture in San Francisco. Telegraph Avenue was the one in Berkeley, and it was right next to the college. And at the time, at least, it was far less scuzzy and a much better place to go than Haight Street. Not so anymore. Apparently, it's kind of falling apart now, like most of the Bay Area is.
Well, it got trashed after Antifa.
Oh, yeah. Antifa actually burnt a lot of it down.
Yeah.
And because the Bay Area is so fucking sympathetic to Antifa, they won't call them out.
Yeah.
Hey, they deserve every bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
They get burnt down by Antifa, it's their own goddamn fault. Anyway, they should have let the cops go out and beat them. They should have, really. Instead of holding them back.
Yeah.
But on Telegraph, there were a lot of unique individuals there. The favorite being was who I refer to as the Beast. Now, I've talked about him before, but he was a unique one because you go there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday walking, huge crowds walking up and down the street, hitting all the shops, the restaurants.
I think you're still sharing.
Oh, am I now?
Yes, you are. There you go.
Yeah, all the shops, restaurants, pizza joints, coffee shops, music stores. I mean, there was a lot to do on Telegraph in the 90s. Some of the best record stores I'd ever seen. Probably the best Amoeba was there. Amoeba Records when they were still in business. But anyway, among the weirdos that were common at Telegraph Avenue was the Beast. And this was a rail thin, wiry guy, mid-20s at the oldest. Big, long, greasy hair. He'd always wear shirts like King Diamond or Slayer, torn up jeans, the ratty high tops. But the thing is he had an inverted pentagram tattooed on his forehead, and it was the one with the goat's head inside the star. and he'd crawl up. He liked to crawl up on top of the crosswalk lights and just hang over the crowd like a gargoyle, doing like Satan symbols. Or he'd have the Bible there, and he'd be reading Revelations, and the beast had 7 heads with 7 horns, and it was, and his name was Death, and there was a plague, and I curse thee, and he'd start like chanting, and oh Satan, my dark lord, loose a few. And he would just do this for hours, just looming over people like a gargoyle, cursing them. Was he crazy? Was it a joke? I have no idea. There was another regular there, this guy named the Haight Man, they called him. And this was an old hippie who had been there since the 60s, who was a homeless guy, been living on the street ever since the 60s, kind of dressed like a hobo wizard. And he'd just walk around collecting change and living off it. And I don't know how he got the name, but he was the Haight Man because people would say, "Hey, Haight Man," and he'd say, "Fuck you." Or people yell, "Hey, Haight Man, fuck you." "No, fuck you." And he never actually talked to anyone. It was always just "fuck you" or "I hate you." That's it. That was the Haight Man. Nothing any deeper to it. There was also the drum circle. Now, when you think drum circle, it's usually a very, new age sensitive male thing, bunch of 30-somethings who, miss their hippie days, and they go out in the woods, get in a circle and beat a drum, right?
Climb a mountain.
Climb a mountain, exactly. No, this was a bit different. Every Friday, somebody would haul out a big crate of garbage. It was all metal scrap and trash, and they would dump it out in the quad at the university, and invite people to just beat on it. And inevitably, it would be a bunch of drugged up students and homeless people just hammering away on the trash. And there was no rhythm to it. It was just a nonstop racket. And so eventually there were enough complaints the cops put an end to it. But that in itself was kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some of the highlights.
No, what still gets me is to know that that it's downhill from your stories. That Berkeley got worse, that San Francisco got worse, that they got more pretentious and more full of themselves.
I think another interesting Berkeley story was People's Park. Now, People's Park had a very infamous history behind it. It was kind of a touchstone for the hippies, a victory they won, and where Mario Savo's very famous and very well-written speech about, at times the system becomes so odious that you must throw your bodies on the machine and say, "We will not move. The machine will stop until," the blah, blah, blah. You've heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderfully powerful speech, and you think that it's in connection to something important until you find out the truth of the story. And what it was this plot of land where the school was, I think, going to put a parking lot. And they wanted to put a parking lot in because, frankly, the area needed more parking and still does. And out of nowhere, the hippies decided, no, this land should go to the people. We don't need another parking lot. This land should go to the people and be a people's park, or they can have people's gardens and use it to organize and talk and become a community, and where people who need a place to sleep can sleep there for free and all that crap, right? And they rioted, and they jammed traffic, and they jumped on police cars and vandalized things, and really they just made life an utter living hell for everyone in the area and the university. And that's where that speech came from. That was a speech Mario Savo gave on top of a police car, which he jumped on and said, "No, this police car now belongs to the people." Stuff it, you dumb commie. He never amounted to anything, by the way. Everyone thought he'd be some great political leader. No, he's teaching middle school somewhere, apparently.
Shit.
Yeah, nobody remembers him. Still alive. Probably retired now. But they won. Savo and his buddies at Berkeley vilified the institution and the the faculty and the city government, and finally they just said, "Fuck it, okay, we won't build the goddamn parking lot. You can have your stupid People's Park," which they did. And 30 years later, there I was in People's Park, right next to Telegraph Avenue. Piles of dog shit, vegetable gardens rotting with homeless people sleeping in it, eating the food that people were trying to grow there, needles in the ground, homeless guys shooting up, dogs running wild, dead grass. And I'm walking across it, just taking a shortcut, and this really nasty looking homeless hippie crawls out of the dumpster with food and starts eating it. And goes, "Hey, you young people, you're slacking off on the job. My generation, we did something. We made a difference. And it's your turn to pick up that torch. What are you doing?" And you know what? I think that if anything really solidified or symbolized the 1960s and its legacy and what a load of shit it was, there you go. That moment, that's right. Mario Savo, the students of Berkeley, the hippie peace movement, their push for a people's land where they could unify and grow gardens, and people could sleep when they didn't have a home, and they could community organize and give speeches. It was a big pile of shit with dog shit and dead plants and drugged up homeless people climbing out of the garbage, eating trash, telling us how important they were and how my generation needs to get off our asses and be like them. If there was ever a symbol for the fucking 60s movement and their legacy, that is it.
It's kind of like Kirk Cameron saving Christmas there.
No, it smells worse.
It smells worse. Ouch.
So, I think that's kind of a winner to end on. I mean, I have some other stories I could share, but, we've been on for an hour. We can answer questions, and I could tell my 21st circuitry stories, when I was with the record label another time. It's kind of a different breed of story.
I'd say save them for another day.
I could talk about my time when I was working as a phone bank worker at various leftist groups, and all the horrible things I learned about them another time, and all the hilarious things that happened while I was there.
Boy, you're teasing the shit out of your next story time, aren't you?
But for now, I think just thinking of People's Park and smelly hippies eating garbage while being high, stepping in dog shit and heroin needles, telling the young generation to get off their ass and be like them, is a great ending to this little journey into the Bay Area. So why don't we go through some questions here?
Let's see.
Oh, well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
That was interesting. We got code.
Okay, so let's see.
User X, there's a guy that goes to my local goth night in a long latex coat. I call him Latex Matrix.
That must be a nice coat then.
Yeah. Yeah, if it holds up, yeah. Really
I myself never really went for the leather or latex look. Not really sure why. I mean, latex does look pretty damn cool. Never been a leather person. Really, when I was really rocking the goth look, I mean, it's pretty dialed back these days. I got the haircut and the shirts and the boots, but that's about it. I don't really push it that far.
I had an Alucard coat.
I tended to go for the black military coat, studs in the shoulders, patches, various band patches all over it, bits of circuit board and electronics sewn into the fabric. Usually a band shirt, military shorts down to my knees, combat boots, and then for that small area of leg that was exposed, fishnets, and then fishnets on the arms, and then spiked hair. So I wasn't really a leather guy.
Now you forego the fishnets, and that's how you dress when we go out.
Well, I don't have the spiked bracelets or any of that shit.
No, we're breathing those.
I don't spike my hair anymore. Just can't get up the effort.
No, but I like your hair now.
Let's see.
Janelle, you have a Soviet gas mask? That's fucking awesome. I'm jealous.
You might be able to get them online still. It's the elephant mask. You've seen it.
Actually, Janelle, we got this particular one at G.I. Joe's in El Cajon. So.
Oh, yeah. You live down there. You could probably still go get one.
Yeah. So that's where we got it.
That place was great.
My one regret is that we didn't buy the silver potato outfit when they still had it. They had for a while one of those flame suits that makes you look like you're a potato wrapped in tinfoil.
If it wasn't $500, I would have bought it.
Yeah, that's still my regret.
Really, I couldn't afford it or justify it, but what I wanted was the full fighter pilot kit.
Oh, God.
They had the helmet. The electronics were removed, but they had the helmet and the breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
But shit, that thing's fucking expensive. Someday I'm going to have a real, authentic American fighter pilot helmet.
Yeah, we'll get
especially since they're replacing them now with a new heads-up display model.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping I can get an old 80s era one cheaper.
Oh, yeah, we should look. Man of Action. I had a club we went to in Italy that made this one look like a girls' choir.
Oh, I bet. The Italians make the best fetish gear.
Yeah.
You guys and the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese make good stuff too, but it's a bit more on the cosplay end.
Yeah. Of course, the Japanese have milk bars.
I mean, if you want to look like a fetish Guyver, yeah, go to Japan.
Yeah. Victoria, Jay and Kat, what superpowers would you have, and what will your superhero or villain name be?
You have giant breast hypnosis powers.
I do.
You can hypnotize men's minds, or certain women.
And cloud men's minds.
You have Irish H-bomb rage.
I do have that.
You can see red and go berserk.
Yes.
But really, what would be your superpower?
I'm kind of boring in that if I really had to think of something for me personally, I'd probably just like having more strength.
Yeah, you're kind of a bruiser.
Yeah.
Let's be upfront. If you had your way, you'd have She-Hulk strength.
Okay, let's put it this way. Make me Noi from Dorohedoro. Her super strength and then her Wolverine ability to heal, and I'd be happy.
You gotta have that healing ability.
Yeah, I do actually. I do heal like Wolverine.
Okay, so my superpower. I suppose my real superpower is the Mentat ability to compute very, very large patterns and see connections where none are apparent. Problem is that can easily be fooled and go wrong, but I'm shockingly right often.
Well, I think it's
make weird connections.
I think it's you've learned from experience
when it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, or where the bullshit is.
So yeah, seeing extremely large patterns and being able, or taking massive amounts of disparate information and seeing a pattern in it, or see how they connect, would be my real life power. I think if it was going to be a superhero power, okay, this is kind of devious, but we've always seen these like anime style Akira superpower telekinetics. No, I'd want. You can't go overkill. You can't, well, I want everything. No, it's got to be an interesting ability, right? How about this? The ability to apply 1 pound of pressure, 1 pound of PSI telekinetically, but I can shrink it down to the head of a pin or the length of a razor, and then can project it inside people's bodies.
No, that's devious.
Think about that. 1 pound PSI, the size of a pinhead or a razor. Slit a spine. Sever an eye.
Yeah. Pop an artery.
Yeah. You don't really need to throw a tree or a truck at somebody.
No, you just need to.
They wouldn't even know what happened.
No.
So that would be mine.
You do it internally. Don't just pop.
Although I'd really like the L superpower.
What, being OCD?
Yeah, well, no, well, yeah, I'm OCD, but I want his OCD.
What is OCD?
Yeah, I have
No,
OCD and ability to see patterns, but I want his OCD and ability to see patterns.
no, you want the ability to eat pastries and not gain an ounce.
I don't really eat that kind of shit. My weight's fine. I'm slim. It's not an issue.
Yeah, but that's all L eats. He doesn't eat real food.
Oh, he lives on sugar. You're right.
Yeah, he 100% lives off sugar, but that's because his brain is using it all
Yeah,
up.
I'd say I'd want the white hair, except the black hair suits me so well.
But L does have black hair. He has dark blue hair.
Oh yeah, I keep thinking of the manga where it's just shown as white.
Well, no. L's hair is dark black. You're thinking of either near or yellow.
It's been so
mellow. Sorry,
it's been so goddamn long. Is it blue?
It's blue black.
Okay. You're probably right, but I don't know why my brain short circuited and thought that.
I have a feeling you were thinking of near.
Probably. Oh yeah, you're right. Why did I remember it white? Fuck, I don't know.
The other thing you could have been thinking of is Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah,
because his hair,
which we've been looking at far more recently.
Yeah, because Kaneki's hair goes from being black to white.
Good night, Elton. Well, we lost you a while ago. Well, when you hear it on the replay, good night, Elton. Okay, let's see.
You need to read Tokyo Ghoul. You really do. That still has one of those holy shit moments that have stuck with me. So.
Nope. Okay.
Unqualified. San Francisco is a shithole, but East Bay, not Oakland or Berkeley, is pretty cool. Got some friends in Dublin and Martinez. Those towns are nice.
I never got to go to either of those locations.
Really?
Yeah, never had a reason to.
I know the BART stops in Dublin. At least I think it does.
Yeah, maybe if I had met people there, I would have fared better. Let's see, what else we got? Somebody found Jesus, but wears a preppy suit and without tattoos. I don't know what that's referencing.
Don't care if it rains or freezes, as long as I got my plastic Jesus sitting on the dashboard of my car. Owen, drum circles where every single man gathered around a campfire and starts beating themselves.
Metaphorically, yeah.
Yeah. I never saw anything that cool when I visited Berkeley. I just saw old hippies and pretentious hipsters drinking shitty organic fair trade coffee.
You nailed it.
That's what I saw.
Let's see.
Oh, a story that you'll have to tell is the guy who was going car to car on the BART.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Save that for another day. Endless Nocturnes. So what Ishii is saying is we should build parking lots on top of the homeless.
Generally, I am sympathetic to people who are legitimately homeless and can't do anything about it. But those fuckers in Berkeley, yeah. Absolutely. Those people are just leeching off, the system. They know what they're doing.
Owen, I just came up with an idea for an action-packed cyberpunk story. The premise is RoboCop meets Guyver, but it's a team like a SWAT team with Guyver units.
That would work. That would absolutely work. So it would be biosymbiote armor instead of cybernetics.
Guyver Knights.
Guyver Knights with Michael Knight.
Yes. Janelle, Gen X is having to clean up the mess the baby boomers made during the hippie phase.
The sad thing is even in high school, I kind of knew that's what we were going to have to do. Even back then, I thought that I really did think that the ones that came after us were going to fare better. And I think for a while that was true. And then something horrendous happened. But yeah, even at high school, I had a feeling we had a very big mess to clean up. And I figured the generation after us would fare better and have better. I don't know now. I think we're going to be raising them until we die.
Rogue Boner, except if you listen to Ishiro's other podcast, you'll discover Gen X deleted itself at a fairly decent rate.
Yeah, but you keep in mind that the ones that stayed are pretty strong.
Well, those who couldn't hack it
Yeah.
deleted themselves, and
Yeah, I mean, we did. We're prone to suicide. It's just seems to be one of the defining characteristics of Gen X. But no, there are enough of us, and we'll see. I have hope that we'll we'll pull through this. Don't know if the millennials will. I think that eventually the millennials are going to have that same moment that Gen X did, where a substantial number of the losers just either offed themselves or just relegated themselves to the sidelines and vanished. And I think then maybe the millennials have a chance to shine, grow up, actually be themselves. But let me tell you one thing, millennials. It's not your job picking up after boomers. And don't let them tell you otherwise. Let's see.
User X, real ass cyberpunks use synthetic fabrics.
Hell yeah.
I love that store right across the street from the huge comics and stuff store. Oh, yes, the one that used to be a motorcycle shop.
Didn't you used to work at a comic stuff?
Yeah, I used to work at the one in Carlsbad.
What was that like? Could you share stories sometime?
What, working at comics and shit?
Yeah, working in a comic store.
Oh, God. Okay. Working at that store was interesting because, where can I begin? Geez. Well, first off,
I'm wondering if this would be a separate show.
I don't know if it'd be a separate show
or you could
or
like
not.
make a list of things you remembered and.
Well, okay, I can think of two stories off the top of my head. First off, I was working there during Christmas season. So that already gives you an idea of the clientele that I was working with. And not only that, this particular comic book store was in a mall. So in a mall during Christmas time. And this was in the big heyday of Yu-Gi-Oh! When Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the absolute shit that everybody was playing. And so you were constantly getting parents and grandparents coming in to buy kids Yu-Gi-Oh stuff for the holidays. And of course, none of these parents or grandparents knew anything about this stuff. They just knew that it was just some cute little card game that little Johnny wanted to play. And the owner happened to have all 5 pieces of, God, I don't remember what it is, but basically it's 5 cards that in game it assembled like basically this giant golem. And these were imports from Japan. You couldn't get them in the United States. You could only get these 5 cards if you bought, I think it was actually the Japanese version of the Game Boy game. And the owner of the store had all 5 pieces, but each piece he was selling them for $100 each. So all of them together was $500. And so the kids would see it in the glass case and go, "Oh my God, I totally want it. I'll never ask for anything again for Christmas, as long as you get it for me." Or I'd have grandparents come in and it's like, "Well, little Johnny said that you guys have these cards that he really wants, so I'm going to get them for him. I mean, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be that much." And the different reactions I would get when I would tell people, it's like, this is going to be $500 if you want all 5 pieces, was always hysterical. Some would just look at me dumbfounded like I had just transmogrified into a fish right before their eyes. Some would think I was joking until I'm like, no, I'm not joking. And the funniest one was this kid is like, "Mom, Dad, can you get these cards for me?" It's like, "Sure, we'll get these cards for you." And the parents weren't paying attention. And so I'm like, "Are you sure you want to get these cards?" They're like, "Yeah, we'll get these cards." I'm like, "Did you see the prices on the cards?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's okay. We'll get them. We're fine." And I'm like, okay. So I pull them out and I put them on the counter, and the kid is like so ecstatic. And you can tell the kid knows he's getting away with murder. And the parents starting to, to hand me their card. And I know that the kid is hoping that I won't say out loud how much it's going to cost, that I'll just swipe the card in so that he can take his cards and run. But I was not going to let the kid get away with this, because quite frankly, I was having too much fun watching the circus. So I'm like, okay, so that'll be 600 and something, because they were buying some other stuff. And, dad's on the phone on his cell phone. Mom is doing something else, and they both just stop and turn and look at me. They're like, how much did you say? And I said, it's 600 and something. They're like, what is costing that much? I'm like, each of these cards is $100. This combined with the other stuff that you're buying is 600. And I actually couldn't believe it. First off, the kid gave me the dirtiest look in the world. But then dad grabbed the kid and hauled his ass out of the store. I thought the kid was going to get a thrashing, actually, for that. And the mom took back the credit card and she said, thank you very much, we're not going to get that today. I'm like, that's okay. And they literally dragged the kid out of the mall. They were that pissed off at him. It's like, well, it's your fault, mom and dad, for not paying attention. Shit. So that's one of my stories from working there.
All right. Let's see if there's any more, and then we should probably wrap this up soon.
Yeah. And I found it funny how in high school they always spin FDR social programs as a great thing, or at least something positive.
Yeah, I used to think that too, and it was kind of amazing was to find out that really, no, he was not. His social programs were not what saved us from the Depression. That he set a lot of bad precedents, and that really the unsung hero of that era was Ike.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I read about Ike and really looked into what he did, in my opinion, I think he's one of the greatest presidents this country has had, and has never gotten the credit for it. If it had not been for him, we probably would have gotten into some sort of conflict with the Russians. He really went out of his way to make sure tax dollars didn't get out of control, or that the government started hoarding tax dollars, making sure that money always went back to Americans, that money went back into things that would boost the economy. One mistake screwed a lot of things up, and it was primarily the CIA pushing things a little too far. But even though that hung a shadow over his 8 years, in retrospect, if you really study what he did, Ike was an amazing president.
Well, it's with good reason why every film of that era, whenever you're on a military base, you see, Ike's picture on the wall.
Let's see. Well, I think that's everything.
Rogue Boner, but if it's all our fault, the planet is fucked. Haven't you heard the boomers and Greta, the youngest boomer?
Well, Rogue Boner, let's address the first one, or the more visible of the two right now. Little the Omen, Damien Child Thornburg. Greta, that kid's gonna kill herself if somebody doesn't intervene. Those parents are abusing that kid. What they're doing to her is fucking abusive, and it just shows how utterly soulless and opportunistic that viewpoint is, that someone would do that to their child. And that it also really says a lot about the people who believe that shit, that they would be so goddamn stupid and gullible to think that a high school dropout who's got mental illness should be deciding foreign policy and environmental policy and economic policy for centuries to come. These people are fucking morons. As for the boomers, the thing is, again, I don't, what was it? Oh, was it Rogue Boomer? No, not Rogue Boomer. Oh, Boomer. Oh, I forget what it, Aging Boomer. Yeah, Aging Boomer has called me on this, and he's right. It isn't really fair to judge the entire baby boom generation because a large number of them really were in our corner. It's just they were shoved to the sidelines or into the red states or into the flyover country and were treated as nuts or bad or really shit upon. And so, on that regard, that's not really fair to throw them in, but really the boomers are the coastal elites and the 60s generation, the flower children. Yeah, from day one, we were a failure to them and everything was our fault. And we were never going to be good enough. And how dare we not want to be just like them? So, what else is new? And to quote the overall attitude, or I guess what, slogan of Gen X, whatever. What the fuck ever. Okay. Yeah, they don't like us, whatever. So fucking what?
Yeah, so fucking what?
So, whatever. I don't care. Let's see. Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, let's see. Last one.
These stories are fascinating. These California stories are fascinating, funny, and weird, but more importantly, sad because I live here in California. Will you tell more in the future, or is this the only time you'll tell it? Oh, we've got more. Believe me, we've got more. We've both got a lifetime's worth of stories.
Well, keep in mind, I didn't tell everything, and these were only my Bay Area stories. I have not told any of my stories about living in the LA San Bernardino area and all that. Riverside. And there's plenty to tell. Although, to be upfront, living down there, as crazy as it was, back then, I don't know, the people were generally more likable than Northern California. I think over the years, a certain type of person has been chased out of the state, has been made to feel unwelcome and shoved to the sidelines. One thing that I've really noticed about living here in Mesa, Arizona, is it really reminds me of what Southern California was like in the early 80s, just to give you a notion of how different things have changed. And really, what 18 years, how many years of leftist policies can take the best state in the union and just grind it into the ground and turn it into Venezuela?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
But yes, we do have more stories to tell.
So, yeah, when I tell my Southern California stories, while there'll be plenty of fun, there won't be quite the anger and bitterness to it because I don't have loathing for those memories. A lot of those memories are, in fact, incredibly good ones, but they're funny ones. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Actually, we'll be interviewing author C.J. Corella.
Yes, on the Writers' Room. So please join us. What time should people join us?
And yes, Unqualified Comics, let's definitely do that.
Yes.
Well, 7 o'clock Pacific time, which would be what, 10 o'clock East?
Correct.
So join us then. Have a good time.
Yes.
Elias Claude, you're going to have to ask the Kronkmeister about that one. Kronk lives in Sacramento. I have only been there once and only for a few hours. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.